To this edition of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. I hope that everyone is having a wonderful evening. We are so delighted that you're able to join us tonight. I am waiting for OnJerya to pop in with me so that we can catch up on everything that is going on. Hello, Maswell. Good to see you, my friend. It has been a wonderful, wonderful day. Angelia is just, she's waving, so I know she's thereabouts. So let's see if I can bring her in. Let's see if I can get her in here. Hi, Walker J12. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Well, hi, Angelia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had to get a little something warm. My nose started to kind of drip, and I was like, let me run, guys, and get something to drink because it was like, oh my gosh. So I had to fix me a mug of protein. And so that's the reason why I just was just on time. So, Miss O, as the kids would say at that summer program, I don't know why I always say Miss O. But Angelia,
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
here we
There's a
go.
lot going on.
Here we go.
Now, and I know you've been running, but just to kind of set the scene a little bit, we're in Women's History Month,
Yeah.
and Friday is going to be International Women's Day. And, and I was thinking about the strength of a woman. And as I was thinking about the strength of a woman, of course, I went to one of my favorites, which is Mary J. Blige. And, nobody can do it like Mary. And of course, Mary has movies that are on a Lifetime. And she has a movie that is based upon, the title is The Strength of a Woman. And I had the pleasure of watching that movie. And as I was watching the movie, I was reminded of Risa Tisa and Legion. And I don't know if you or our audience have uh, had an opportunity to watch this particular um, movie of Mary J. Have you seen it yet? Have you had an opportunity to see it, Virginia?
I have. I have. It was a while ago, but I've seen it. It's a really good movie.
It is. So the basic plot is. I don't want to give it away, guys, but let me give you a basic backstory so you can see the connection. So basically, we have the main character who is I'm gonna say photojournalist, and she's married to a physician, and there's some betrayal. He's not exactly what he appears to be. When you first see him, he's a hardworking man, and he is a hardworking man, but he's not everything that he appears to be. She's got a friend who seems to be really in her corner, but I must tell you, Anjay, when I saw it the first time, I didn't like that friend.
Yeah.
And at the end, I was right not to like this friend. But so we got some other little characters that make it a little complex and so forth. But the bottom line, everything is not what it appears to be. And just like with Risa Tisa, the main character finds out at the end that this man has been living several lives that she had no idea about. And at some point, as he was living all these lies, he tried to make it seem as if she was doing something wrong. And like I said, I just fell back and thought, now, if this is not Risa Tisa and Legion, but it's Mary J. Blige's movie. And I thought the strength of a woman. And then I thought of all the things that have happened with Risa Tisa since we had our first conversation. And I thought the strength of a woman, here we are in Women's History Month, and seeing how she has used these 50 episodes. And as she said, she's been on Good Morning America, she's been on Tamron Hall, The Cut, she's been on lots of different podcasts, and she's used this as a catharsis to be able to also be a champion for other women so that they are aware and won't fall victim to similar circumstances. And I thought the strength of a woman, because as you know, Angelia, and the audience who follows Dr. TAS, I'm always looking for that resilience. That's just who I am. And I thought, why not have a conversation about that? Because there's so many different perspectives on this. At first it was like, oh my gosh, she's put all this stuff out there. But then as you put all the pieces together, you see it really is like a cautionary tale for those of us, and it could be men or women, who are still dating and wanting to find the person that we could perhaps spend our life with. So I didn't know, if you had made that same sort of connection between what was going on with Risa Tisa and Legion and the connection with Mary J. Blige movie, The Strength of a Woman. So I wanted to know what you thought about it.
I did. You know, if you haven't watched the movie, by all means, please watch it. It's a really, really good movie. I wasn't familiar with the song, and I love MJB, but I don't know, I had never heard that song, so it was very fitting, like, to actually hear the lyrics and see what was going on, to understand that it is very easy to, fall for the representative. And then as things, unfold, you then begin to see the person for who they are, or as they would say with the Wizard of Oz, the wizard behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like the movie, like I said, it was really good. It had a lot of good things to, that hit home. And so, like I said, I would highly recommend, if you haven't already watched it, to definitely watch it. And seeing where a few weeks ago when we were talking about Risa Tisa, you know, we didn't know where this was going to go, actually. Like, since then, so much has happened to her. Legion now has been identified as Jerome McCoy. And, unfortunately, he's still telling his lies, as he was during that time. I think, he said that he has, a couple of deals with Netflix and so on and so on. So again, it's like he's still buying the cover story. And when you talk about resilience, like, yes, she started off with, I'm just telling this story because I just want to make sure that you guys basically don't make the same mistake I did. She never imagined that it would grow to what it has grown to. And it seems like it's continuing to grow. So kudos to her. Kudos to her. Like, I feel like it's a blessing. And it's also therapeutic, because I know a lot of people are like, okay, but you really just put everybody in your business. Why? I can understand, like, be a very private person. You may not want to just share it out, but the bottom line is, you just never know what people are going through, and you never know what, since they are going through something, how that can also have an impact with somebody else who may not be comfortable with sharing their story, but who's also going through a similar situation. So, as a result of that, a lot of other people have now stepped up, and they're sharing their story, not necessarily, that particular version of it, but again, it just, as they say, it opened the door to start the conversation.
And that is so important, to just start the conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Inbox XVA. Also, thank you, Dr. Mona Noor, for joining us, and Jacqueline P2 and Diane Play Nice. Thank you for joining us. Manswell stated that, he's so glad that he's basically not dating now, because if he had to date now, basically he would just be, I think it was a single dog, because it is so difficult to date in today's world, because you just don't know. And I was listening to one of Risa Tisa's interviews, and she really didn't think very much. And you guys, I hope I'm not misstating her, about the fact that he had one name on one dating site and he used a different name. It didn't really click with her that that was a red flag. And as you say, it opens the door for conversation. And that even reminds me of on the news I saw today, where I'm sure we've all seen this, and if not, let me educate you. You know, I've gotten them on Facebook, and they were talking about Facebook, the scam, the new social scam, where you'll get something. I know you would want to know this about such and such has passed, and that's a scam. Because I've been getting those myself. You know, you get an email, and supposedly it's from someone that not an email, you get a post that said, or either you'll get it in Messenger. I know you wanted to know about this. Somebody has passed. And it doesn't say who, but it kind of leads off with something like that. Well, that's a scam. Don't click on that, because what's happening is hackers are then able to be in the background, and then with your keystrokes, they're getting your bank information, and then sometimes they'll take control of your computer. And then somebody may reach out to you on a WhatsApp app and say, like, for $100, I can, fix this issue for you or what have you. Again, they were saying with AI technology, it's even more, they could be more, I don't want to use the word sneaky, but the way that they can manipulate you is even more advanced now. So I link that back to the fact that Risa Tisa just didn't think about the fact that his name was one thing on one dating site, and then it was something else on the other, because it was really like his nickname. It's just an abbreviation of his name. So she didn't think anything of it. And how many times have we met someone and we call them by their government name, and then somebody's talking to us about this person, and we don't have a clue who they're talking about because they're using another name? Well, then, you might have to think sometime and think, now, why did they not give me that name? Well, you think, you're talking about them from this perspective. Someone else is using this name. I hate to say it, you could be talking to two friends, could be talking about the same guy, and you never know it, because she called him one thing and you call him something else. It's only when y'all about to meet up, he's not going to be able to meet up with somebody. He's not going to be able to make it with one person. Okay, he can't be with two women at the same time, same day. You know. So again, I think that just the idea of opening the door for conversations like this is so important.
Absolutely, because again, it's like we always say, closed mouth don't get fed. So we always think that just because someone is always like rainbows and unicorn and sunshine, that everything is okay in their world, not understanding that, when they go home at the end of the day, you don't know what they're going home to.
It's true.
And you don't know what they've also had to like endure just to become that person, just to get through their day to day. So, again, it's like when I just reflect back, I'm like, wow, a lot of people probably was just like laughing, like, wow, she really put her information out like that.
Mhm.
And to see that this has really made an impact,
Mhm.
that I know, like she said, like she was not expecting this to happen. She was just sharing her story. And as a result of it, many accolades have came from this. Like I think she even got signed to like a talent agency. She's been gifted, different gifts and things. So yes, it's been rewarding, you know, as it should for anyone that has, gone through trials and tribulations and any trauma, because again, we know what the alternative is. So it's good to see that this turned out to be very positive out of a bad situation.
You used the word trauma. I think I read that she had gotten some mental health counseling, but just the word trauma. Trauma is such it's a frightening word, but it's a word that I think sometimes is still misunderstood. And I think that people don't understand that many things cause trauma. And it's taken sometimes lightly.
Yeah.
Um, I can remember, and this has been this has just been about 2 decades ago, guys. I was getting off the school bus, and my blood sugar had just dropped. And when I stepped on that, my foot touched the ground, I went down like this. And so, of course, the bus driver, everything stopped, and my mother must have been home. Um, but when I think about that right now, that was traumatic. Now, work with me. The kids were on the bus. I was in high school. Pretty sure I was in high school. Maybe I was in middle school. And you know what that's like. Everybody's talking. What's wrong with her? My blood sugar had dropped. I was fine. I got up, stepped off the bus, and when my foot hit the ground, I just went down. But that was traumatic. You know, when I think about it now, and I think about all the things that then happened afterwards, took me to the doctor. After they got me up, they took me to the doctor. On the kids, there's all this chatter the next day. Getting on the bus, there was chatter at school. It was traumatic for me.
Mm-hmm.
But no one at the time thought about the emotional impact of what happened and how I would deal with it. They were only looking at the physical impact because they knew something was wrong since I stood up and then I was down. And I share that because we sometimes don't understand trauma and the long lasting effects of trauma. So this is a traumatic event that happened with
Mm-hmm.
this young lady. And even though things have turned, she seems to be headed in a good space, and things are positive for her. I think I read that her hope is that unless things get really kind of quirky at her job, meaning because of the outside influence, she'd really like to still retire from her job. She works in law enforcement in Georgia. She would like to retire from her job. Excuse me, but she did mention in an article that I read that some gentleman walked past her, and I guess she didn't know him. He didn't really know her, and then he recognized her. He's like, she said, he's the again, those sorts of things, and then the outside world coming in, those things may make it a little challenging for her. But she also said, either another article, that when she was on Good Morning America, she was maybe waiting at the elevator, and she was beside Robin Roberts, and she had pulled out her work phone and to see if her boss had called. So yeah, she's still trying to normalize things as she's still dealing with the trauma. And the thing is, even though things are positive, guys, that can be traumatic because we don't often think about that, but it is because when your life shifts, even for the better, I often talk about when people win the lottery. That's an overnight thing, and sometimes they lose that money fairly quickly because the mindset wasn't there. They weren't prepared to win that type of money and then be able to manage it. That's it's a wonderful event, but that's a traumatic event to go from whatever state financially they were to having all of this money. What do I do with it? I paid all my bills. Now I bought my mom a house or whatever you needed to do, but now I got all this money. What do I do with this money so that I'm building generational wealth versus not managing it well? And sometimes being able to get in the right headspace so that you can make good decisions is challenging. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me see if I can make this up. Just shall be three. And also shout out Crystal. Thanks for joining us, Crystal. But yeah, I think that it's great that these things are happening, but we can't, we still have to always be mindful of, it's like what we say, Spider-Man, that great philosopher with great gifts come great responsibility. So these things are great, but there's still a responsibility, and we have to be mindful of those things as we move forward. But then going back to the strength of a woman, the strength of a woman. Women are so resilient.
Yeah.
They've been the backbones of families forever. Behind every great man, there is a great woman. There is a strong woman, regardless of her ethnicity. There is a strong woman that is helping to steer that man to make sure that he is hitting all of his dots, crossing all of his T's, because women are genetically predisposed to be nurturers. And that happens even if they don't have children. Thank you so much, Ricardo, for joining us. That happens even if they don't have children. And I just think about women and how oftentimes we're just not celebrated the way that we should be. And we get 1 month out the year, and women carry these children for 9 months. For y'all that have carried children, and for those of us who carry ideas or things of that nature, the 9 month, it's the same sort of thing, as an analogy. But for 9 months, you carry these children, and then you have them for the rest of your life, and you only get 1 month that we celebrate women history, and then you get one day, Mother's Day. Now somebody need to talk. Y'all need to talk to Congress about that. That don't make no sense.
Well, we actually celebrate 365, 52.
Okay.
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 365, 52 weeks. Um, I understand that it's 1 month and one day out the year, but no, like seriously, you know, I was having this conversation recently with someone, and they're like, God, I just don't know how women do it. And of course, this was, the opposite sex. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, the fact that you guys are able to just keep going. You keep pushing on. Like, you're tired, you're exhausted. Sometimes you don't know if you're coming or going, but you just keep pushing on. And sometimes it's challenging. It gets tired. It gets hard sometimes, because you do feel like you're on an island by yourself. But it's nice to surround yourself with a good group of people who are like, kind of like your little cheerleaders, right? Because sometimes you need that. Like when you're not having a good day and you feel like today is just not the day, right? Like today is the day that I just want to go lay down. We all have days like that. It don't matter if you're man or woman. We all have days where you're like, today is just the day. I just want to be alone, right? Like, because we're constantly in motion, we're constantly doing things, we're constantly being pulled in all different directions, that you start to feel overwhelmed, which goes back to the conversation that we had a few weeks ago. When do you know that you're overwhelmed versus being overstimulated? Do you know? Like, because sometimes you don't know. But, as women, unfortunately, we have to continue to, pressing on because you got mama. Your mama. Mama gonna make a way.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say when you was a kid? Go ask your mama.
That's
Go
your
ask
mama.
your, but can I do this? Go ask your mama. And your mama be like, what your daddy say? He said, come ask you. And you be like, okay, well, I guess, it's always that ongoing battle of just resilience. Like, yes, you want to give up, but you can't. And I see where Menzel, he said, better glad he picked y'all. Wouldn't be no new generation. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because I've dealing with my girls, and I hear them. I'm just like, woo, honey, y'all got a lot. I'm a little concerned now. TAS, or as our colleagues would say, TAS. uh, you're okay. You're in good hands, like Allstate. Now, me on the other hand, we gonna have to pray about that, okay? We gonna have to pray about that, cause it's bad when your 19-year-old get to complaining about, I'm concerned about my peers. I'm like, girl, you're too young to be concerned about your peers, but I'm glad you're concerned, because now I'm concerned too. Okay. Uh, because again, um, it is hard. It's challenging, but no, like I said, it's 365. Like, we really shouldn't just take 1 month out of the year
Mhm.
to celebrate, or
Mhm.
1 day out of the year, Mother's Day. Like, no, like, we do a lot,
Mhm.
men as well.
Yeah.
But really, as women, we definitely do a lot. We basically are what was I saying the other day? The man is the head, but the woman's the neck, right? So even though he may be the protector, the provider, we still have to, as the women, make it happen. We got to implement and make it happen. So my question for you, because I do have a question for you, because as many of you may or may not know, Teresa T has, her counselor hat on. Yeah, I'm putting her on the spot, and she gonna be like, oh, how's she coming at me? She don't know. She don't. What advice would you have, given the fact that you have seen the movie Strength of a Woman, you have seen Risa Tisa,
Mhm.
and just your experience, what advice would you give to anyone that is experiencing or has experienced any type of trauma?
Mm. Can I ask you to put it in a funnel and narrow it down for me? Because that's so
I
huge.
know.
So I know. So narrow it down for me so that I could be more succinct. Give me a
So I saw your post today, and I didn't really read it in its entirety, but I know it was a letter to your younger self.
Mhm.
So if you had to have a conversation with your younger self, let's make it simple, like simplified. If you had to have a conversation with your younger self, I know what you wrote in your letter. I just skimmed it. But what are some things that I guess you're glad that you went through, because now you understand that it helped mold and shape you to be the person that you are today, that maybe you didn't realize while you were going through it?
Well, I'm gonna back up to what I thought. I'm gonna merge all of it. When
Mm-hmm.
you initially asked the question, I thought you were asking me because you said that having seen the movie The Strength of a Woman, and then having I'm up on Risa Tisa now. If I were going to give advice or tips, what would I give? Um, and so I was wanting you to say relationships, or whether were you talking relationships, or were you talking about loving yourself? But you didn't go either way. And so then you went to my post from today, which was a letter that I wrote to my younger self. So I'm gonna merge them all together. What I would say to anyone is, first of all, and this is gonna be so cliche, but I'm gonna start with it. Don't take yourself too serious, because I'm talking to the younger self now. Don't take yourself too serious, because if you take yourself too serious, you'll make mistakes. Mistakes sometimes that you don't come back for, because it could be death, meaning you may commit suicide. You could go down a path that your life will not, you can't turn that path back. So don't take yourself too seriously. Also, I would say learn to love yourself for who you are at that moment in time, because you're constantly evolving. From the movie, The Strength of a Woman, the character, the main character, she didn't trust herself. She didn't trust her instincts. And because she didn't trust herself, she stayed in a place too long. She knew she should have gone, but she stayed based upon what she thought, I believe, what she thought she should do versus what she knew she ought to do. I think she knew better, but she chose because she thought that's what she should have done. And then ultimately, she made the right decision. But when she made the right decision, she had to pull an Angela Bassett, except he was still at the house. And you know what Angela does to a car? just don't do stuff like that to Angela and don't think that she's not going to handle your call. So she had to pull Angela Bassett. But, she began to love herself, but she still was a little, which I think was good. She was still cautious. Some would say that she was gun shy about the next relationship. Well, it was a previous relationship, but it was still the next relationship. She was cautious. She had had a lot more living. So she was now cautious. And I think we have to be cautious. Don't jump so fast. I think that's still, all of that's appropriate for Risa Tisa also. And if you look at it from even broader, remove it from relationships, it's the same thing. You know, it's apropos for basically anything in life. And the thing is that we want better, but we have to determine what better looks like. Um, and then how do we get to better? And sometimes we have to take a step back and then, move the fog and stuff and see what's there and then determine, can better be accomplished and how do we accomplish it? And I think that that's ultimately what Risa Tisa is hoping that her message conveys. And I think that the movie, The Strength of a Woman, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read that it was based on a true story. I think that's the message that it was trying to convey also. And if I go back to what you just said, when you talk about the Wizard of Oz, you look behind the screen, or the curtain, you had it all the time. But when we take ourselves too serious too soon, we lose it, because then, how can I say this? We lose our ability to reflect. And I said to someone recently, I just don't say reflection. I reflect all the time. And I know some people hate that I reflect all the time, but I don't care. You don't care? No, I don't care, because I'm always thinking. Because if I'm not always thinking, I can't solve an issue. And there are issues in life, personal issues, the professional issues. I'm always thinking. I had my annual evaluation today with my boss, and I'm in a new position, but my old boss did my annual evaluation. And so we were catching up, and I was sharing with her some things that I've been encountering in my new position. And so we were talking about the fact that it's almost like a perfect marriage now, because I was in a leader position and now I'm in a full-time faculty position. So I'm able to take the things that I knew when I was part-time faculty, then the things that I learned as an individual that managed, at one point, approximately 120 or whatever it was, faculty, and now apply that to my role as a full-time faculty member. And it's almost like, the Trinity. It's a perfect storm. And it's like, okay, so I'm reflecting all the time based upon all these different things. And it's like, and I'm saying this to people, And I'm sure sometimes it's quite challenging for my students, but I'm doing it because I've been in all these different places. And I'm trying to move them from point A to point Z, because I know what Z is going to be. And I want them to be successful at Z, but they don't know Z yet. And I shared with her, and I'm going to give this back to you, because I'm answering your question, but I'm trying to help people to see it from multiple perspectives. I shared with her about a young man. We're 10-week quarter university, four quarter, 10-week quarter. And so one young man, about week 5 or 6, he was about ready to throw in the towel. And so I graded the assignment, and he didn't understand it. And he sent me 2 messages like back to back. And he's like, the second was like, just, basically just ignore it or whatever. And I had replied to the first one, and then it was like, just ignore it. And then I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, no. And so then I replied to the second one. And so what I did was the feedback that I'd given him on the rubric, based upon what he'd written in the first message, even though I had responded there, I then gave him feedback another way. And so when I gave him the feedback this time, hey, Betty, it is so good to see you. I always love seeing you, girl. She's a cutie, guys. And how you doing there, All Sports Bravo? But when I gave him the feedback this time, I gave it to him in a different way.
Yeah.
And so he said, thank you. He did better on his assignment. But in a discussion post that I was reading today, he was reflecting on his leadership journey and the takeaways. And it made me emotional. I will admit it made me emotional because he was able to see it.
Yeah.
He was able to finally see it. And I was happy. And I was sharing that with my old boss because he could see it. Because he was going to throw in the towel, but he was finally able to see the pieces. And so what I'm saying is it's not easy. It is not easy. It is not easy. It is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Whatever that is, everybody would do it. But it's not easy. It doesn't speak to your competence. It doesn't speak to how pretty you are, meaning whether you get married or you have a husband or if you have a maid or a partner, whatever it is. It doesn't speak to that. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you can accomplish it. But it takes time. It takes being willing to be open. It takes trying to understand what somebody's trying to get you to see, because they only can get it to you so many different ways. And once I saw that he couldn't get it, I was like, okay, let me try to get it to him this way. And I don't know why, when I wrote it out the way I did, and I put a couple other steps in there, it clicked for him. It clicked. And, it's like I did my job, but more importantly, he did his job. Now, you may say to me, TAS, what was his job? He heard me.
He heard you.
He heard me. Then he sat back and said, what is that woman talking about? Now, he may have put some choice words there, and I do not care. I don't care what choice words he put there. He heard me, and then he thought, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? He probably talked to some people and said, well, I don't know what she's talking about. But eventually, as he kept talking to people, and they said this and they said that, and somebody else said this, and he thinking about what they said, and he thinking about what this person, this is leadership now, because a leader has to reflect. They got to reflect. You're going to have to take in diverse perspectives. Part of the decision-making process, and mind you, I'm teaching leadership classes, you see. And so as he's doing all of this, he can't get it. He can't get it. But then, now his takeaways, these are the takeaways that he's talking about today. Reflection, taking into account diverse perspectives, the brainstorming, the diversity in the decision-making process, the communication. And I'm like, well, by God, his last name is Smith, if I'm not mistaken. I almost get his first name, but it is a hard name to pronounce too. But Smith has got it. So my point is, again, when you talk about tips, don't take yourself too serious. You are always going to be a babe. Even when you are 100 years old, you still a babe. I saw Rita Moreno on The View yesterday. She looked like a baby doll. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Rita Moreno from West Side Story, I think she said she's like 92. She looked like a baby doll. But if you take her out of the arts, she's going to be a babe in another arena. She's going to be a babe because that's not her arena. It does not detract from I think she's an EGOT. It doesn't detract for her, but her awards. And I think she was the first Puerto Rican or Latina to win an Academy Award. It doesn't detract for none of that. But she's in a different arena now. She's a babe. You got to learn your arena. And when he got it, as I told my ex-boss today, I was so happy because that meant I'd done my job. And that's what I would share and say to folks, Angelia, because it's so important. Don't take yourself too serious because you're learning. We're always learning. I'm learning. There are things that I don't know. And I said to our mother today, I said, I'm about to get it. I'm about to get it. And she's like, what are you about to get? And I told her, I'm about to get it. I'm getting better now. It's taking years, guys. It's taking years. It's taking years for me to be able to get on IG. I mean, I was like, oh my God, you mean you have to do a live? I don't even know how to do a live. I remember the first time I did my cooking live. You remember that, Jay? I did my cooking live and had no volume. I just cooked my little heart out. There was no volume. Nobody could hear me at all. Oh, I was just so hurt. Oh, talk about a hurt woman. I was hurt. I'm not lying. Can you imagine cooking a whole meal live and nobody could hear me? But I didn't throw in the towel.
Right.
Somebody told me you don't have to do it that way again. I said, okay. And then I got back on before they told me that. I still got back on again and I did it. I didn't stop. I'm like, I reflected quickly. I'm like, oh no, I can't go down like this. I done got myself built up to do this. For the first time, I done prepared all this food. I'm sorry, it didn't go the right way. I'm going to do it again. I didn't take myself too seriously. Because if I had, I would never have been able to do it again. I would not be able to sit here now because I would have been mortified. I'd have been mortified and I just couldn't have done it again. And that's what I would say to any woman, any man, any boy, any child, because it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And that movie at the end is an example. Our lives, people who are listening, your lives, Risa Tisa,
Yeah.
everybody's lives. And it's always up and down. Don't get yourself out of whack. I gotta say that little part too. Don't feel bad if you go down. It's never gonna be up like this all the time. Even people who have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Hear me. Hear me. I can have all the money in the world. I'm still have some down days. Now, Diane and I used to talk. Diane is my friend that's deceased. We used to say, need to get some of them happy pills that somebody had. And we knew they had to have some happy pills. They was always happy, happy, happy. And we thought they had some happy pills. So again, everybody is up and down.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question, Angelia, but those are some of the things that I would share with them so that they would be able to look at life through a realistic pair of glasses versus those rose-colored lenses.
And I agree with that. Like, even the takeaway of what you just said, I agree. Like, you said a lot, but I think one of the main things to understand is self reflection. It is so important and it is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to critique yourself, you don't want to do that because what you mean? I got problems. What you mean? I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. What do you mean? There's things that I got to work on. My stuff together. It is together, but you can always be better, right? So I know, like for me, I am my hardest, my toughest, my roughest, whatever critic, right? It's like I don't even need nobody else to like critique me because I'm hard on myself, right? I wake up reflecting throughout the day. I'm reflecting. Before I go to bed, I'm reflecting. That's probably why I only get like about 2-3 hours of sleep because I'm always thinking of like, how did the day go? Was there anything that you could have done better? Did you do everything that you were supposed to do? Why didn't you do everything you wasn't supposed to do? Is it a time management or no, your time just ran out, right? Because sometimes things pop up unexpectedly and it can just throw you off. So it goes back to the self-reflection is I would say would be the takeaway with the Risa Tisas of the world, with the women, the men, the boys, and the girls. Don't be afraid to self-reflect And self-care. That is something that I struggle with. Woo, I struggle with because I like to take care of everybody else. And that's why TAS be like, take care of you. And I'm like, and I be like, I can't because I'm taking care of everybody else. So, again, it's just loving yourself, spending time with yourself. We don't do that enough. We don't do it enough, and we need to start doing that. We need to start spending time with ourselves, having conversations. I know they said don't talk to yourself. I know a few weeks ago, man, Mansell had mentioned when we were saying like how people will, just gravitate to you, like you in your own little world, and they just walk up to you. And he was like, just start talking to yourself. And I thought about that. I'm like, yeah, but then some people are like okay with that and be like she's having a conversation with herself, but I still want to talk to you, right? So but have those conversations with yourself. They used to say as long as you don't answer, you okay. Well, I hate to tell you, sometimes I have to answer because I have to be like, girl, why we do that? And I'm like, girl, I don't know why we did that. What were we thinking? Girl, I don't know what we were thinking. I tell you, not crazy. I promise you. Like, because sometimes you have to reflect on like, how did I get here? So that I don't go back here again. Because the worst thing that you can do is never learn the lesson. And you just continue to keep repeating the cycle over and over and over again. And you're in that state of insanity of like, why is it not getting better? Because, baby, you ain't learned the lesson. You're continuing to do the same thing over and over and over, and you're expecting a different, result. And that's what we, reflecting back, because I know we're talking about, Women's Month, Women Day, and all of that. But it goes for any and everybody.
Mhm.
Love yourself.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to put yourself first. I was one of those. Some days I'm still one of those. Like, I don't want to be selfish. Baby, be selfish with yourself. Okay? I'm here to tell you, be selfish with yourself. Take yourself out on a date.
Oh, that's it.
Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Take
Mhm.
yourself out to eat. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Because if you wait for somebody to do it, baby, they'll never do it. So, again, love you. If it's something that you've been working hard towards, do it. Get it. Don't
Mhm.
wait for somebody to be like, well, I think you deserve it. No, baby, you do deserve it. Because we all work hard. And you just need to, as they used to tell you back in school, just put your arms around you and give yourself a big hug. And if nobody hugged you today, I know. If nobody hugged you today and nobody told you that they love you, I love you, tell yourself you love every day. When you wake up and you open your eyes and you in your right mind and your good health, be like, I love me today. I love me. Those affirmations are important. They are pivotal in like how your day is going to go. Because if you wake up in a positive mindset, then despite how things may happen throughout the day, just reflect back, girl, I love me. Why do I love me? I love me because see, I like nice things. You're gonna be like Cardi B over there, be like, I'm in the Coach store. I need some retail therapy. That's why I'm in the Coach store.
Yep.
And no one can tell me I can't go to the Coach store.
Mhm.
If the Coach store is not your flavor, it's okay, whatever it is. Like
Mhm.
you're entitled to that, and it's okay. Like I had a friend, and I don't know if she gonna see this or not, but if she do, I love her. I love her. Lord knows I do. I love her,
Okay.
but she works really, really hard, and she bought a vehicle.
Mhm. Mm.
And we kept having conversations. And I was like, girl, just get the car. She was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm afraid. I don't want to. I'm like, why are you afraid? She's like, I can't afford it. Now trust me, she can afford it. She can afford it. She, she can afford it. But
Mhm.
she was like, I'm afraid. And I'm like, but why are you afraid? She's like, because I've never spent this amount of money on myself.
Wow.
And I said, it's time.
Mhm.
It's time. It's time. We can't be afraid to love ourselves. And that I guess would be my little is get it. It's mine. I spend it. I'm riding around. I'm getting it. That's what you need to do. Like, that's playing in your head. Like, get it. It's okay. Don't worry about how you're going to pay for it. You worry about that later, okay? Now, don't go in debt. I didn't say go in debt to get it. Now, that's not what I said. But, if it makes you happy and it makes you feel good on the inside, and you know that when you wake up, you're going to have an extra little hop, skip, and jump to get through the day because of whatever it is that you're coming home to, whatever it is that you're doing, do it. Do it. Because I promise you, you don't want to live a life of regrets. And I think that's the worst thing that anyone can do is live a life of, well, I didn't because dot, dot, dot. Because I think that's the worst thing ever is to know that you put everybody else first and you never made time for self. And then when self can't put self first and no one can be there to love on you the way you were loving them, that's a hurting feeling. So that would be my takeaway. I love. It was a really good episode. I really didn't know how this was going to go.
Oh, that OnJerya is silly. That's a
I
really good
really didn't know
episode of OnJerya.
it was. I didn't know how this was going to go. I mean, oh God, like I was about to get teary eyed again. That's why I was like, "Oh, girl, stop talking," and start laughing. Because Daddy be like, "I laugh too much. It's okay. I'm gonna continue laughing." Because I need
Don't
that sometimes.
forget
Because
you.
I know, and he probably will have a conversation with me. It's okay. I love him too. But sometimes it's like you need to laugh. And when y'all see me over here like smiling, boy, I be like, yes, girl. In my head, I be over here laughing because again, life be life. And it's really like a seesaw.
Mhm,
Okay, it's a seesaw. It go up and down. It's that Libra scale. It goes
mhm,
up and down. 1 minute it can be balanced. The next minute you lean to the right. You might be leaning to the left, but then you balance again,
mhm.
and it's okay. Like it's nothing wrong with starting over. Certainly nothing wrong with starting over. But again, reflect. Reflection is good. Self-reflection. Don't be afraid to be hard on yourself. Because trust me, everybody else gonna be hard on you. Because your family gonna tell you about yourself, and if your friends really care about you, they certainly will not have no problem with hurting your feelings.
Well, I've got these three things. Well, I've got several things I want to say. Um, how did you get here?
Yes.
Starting all over again. It's gonna be rough, so rough, but you're gonna make it. Also, to quote Jerry Ferguson, who was my first boss in education, Jerry used to say, and I always give Jerry credit for this. So, Daddy, if you're listening, Jerry would always say to me, you have to laugh to keep from crying. So, OnJerya, I'm giving you permission across the universe to laugh to keep from crying because Jerry Ferguson was the director of student support services in Alamance Bolton School System here in North Carolina. And he used to always say to me, you have to laugh to keep from crying. And I have always said that to people, and I have always given Jerry permission. And it just clicked with me now that I need to tell you that because you've said that. You've said it a lot over the last couple of weeks to me on and off camera. And it just clicked. I need to tell you that. He always would say that. You have to laugh to keep from crying. And I was so young and so green that I didn't understand what he meant. But as I've gotten older, guys, that's just a few days ago, but as I've gotten older, I understand what Jerry means because, or what he meant rather, because that's all you can do sometimes. You just have to laugh your way through it so that you're not crying your way through it. Because sometimes crying, you shouldn't be crying on your job. You shouldn't be crying when you're interacting with these people out in the public. So you have to laugh to keep from crying. And I respect him an awful lot. This has been an excellent hey Brian, thank you, Brian J32. Thank you so much, US 32 US. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been an excellent episode. And if you're not following us, please follow us. It's up in the upper left hand corner. Dr. Teresa Smith, Miss Scorpio 85 here on IG. We enjoy unpacking life with you guys because that's what we do all the time when we're on the phone. And so we said we want to unpack it with you so that we can learn from you. Because again, it's all about self-reflection, as OnJerya just said, because that's what we're always doing when we're on the phone. Some people that I know think that we be arguing and we be fussing, but we just be debating it out because
Yeah.
she thinks it's one way and I think it's another way, and then we meet somewhere in the middle, and then it's like, oh, we back on. No, I think it's this way. No, I think it's that way. And then we move on to another topic, and then we go back to that topic, and we're back and forth. But we're just trying to figure out this thing called life because
Yeah.
it's not a simple thing. It is so complex, and we just can't take it serious. But we got to figure it out a little bit so that we're not crying all day long, and we're not laughing too much because people might get looking at us a little odd if we're laughing all day long. Like, what is wrong with them women? But again, yeah, that's what we do. And we are so grateful for you guys coming along with us on this ride. I can't say how many weeks it's been, but it's almost been 2 months that you guys have been with us on this ride. And we certainly do appreciate you guys being with us here on IG every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time. We enjoy our time with you, and we are so appreciative of your being a part of this. We could not do it without you. We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your hearts. We appreciate your comments. Again and again, those that you leave when you come back, and those that you leave when we're here live. So again, we appreciate all of you. Is there anything else that you want to say, Anjay, before we wrap it up tonight?
No, like I think, like I said, it's been a good episode, and you know, this journey has been interesting. It's also been challenging, and I just look forward to see what the future holds.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna see what the future holds. That man will say, dang, he must have got a phone call.
You gotta put my
Replay, replay.
DNA.
I don't know where you missed out. Replay. Angelia done took over. She done preached the sermon after I had warmed. I was the opening act, and then she done came back and preached the whole sermon. So you have got to watch the replay, because she done took over. Now because tonight she decided that she was going to be in the driver's seat, and because she says to me offline, guys, that she feels like she'd be interviewed every week.
I
So
do.
tonight she thought that she would interview me, and she done just took over. Well, I am so happy. It took however many weeks we've been on, and she has taken it over. I am glad. Like I said, self reflection. She finally got it now. So now when I throw it to her, she won't be like, "No, you can go ahead on." And no, that's what she
No,
said. "No, you go ahead on." And I'd be like, "No. It's a shared thing here. No, you go ahead on." So tonight, I'm so happy, Ajay. You took over, and let me ask you a question, okay? And I'm
no,
so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. This is a real proud moment. This is a proud mama moment, guys, because I don't have kids, so she's the closest thing to me having a child. So this is a proud moment, mama moment. Since we're talking about women and babies and all this difference, you got to go back and look at the listen to the replay, man. So if you missed all that, this is a proud mama moment for me because she took over and she asked me questions. So it's been good. But again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, I think we both been in agreement on this. Before you take care of somebody else, make sure you take care of yourself first. And if you got a woman in your life,
put her first.
I don't care what you may think. You may say she ain't strong. She is strong
Yes, she
because
is.
if she is in your life, she don't have to be your mama. If she is in your life and she's a woman, she's strong. You may not see it, but she's strong. Because women have to be strong. We can't always show it the way you think that we show
Yeah.
strength, but she's strong. So I want you to celebrate her, and not just this month. You celebrate her, what, 365 days, I think you said, OnJerya?
365, 52,
That's it.
52 weeks,
Because women deserve to be
365.
celebrated. And men too. We'll talk about you in June. We'll talk about you in June. Might be talking about you next week. But yeah, you celebrate that woman because women deserve to be celebrated. So again, before you take care of someone else, make sure you take care of you. Bye now. Thank you.
Bye.